enjoying and savoring each other's company. I'm very pleased to announce our graduate program continues to shine. We remain a top-ranked department among public universities by U.S. News and World Report. We also remain a Tier 1 department as ranked by the Ohio State University Graduate School. That's certainly a badge of honor. At this year's celebration, we're marking the graduation of 19 Ph.D.s and 10 M.A.s to our cumulative roster of distinguished alumni. And those grads since last spring are listed on your program this afternoon. Indeed, such markers of success are the products of a lot of intellectual achievement and creative thinking and hard work by our faculty and graduate students. And so thank you to everyone here today for working hard and bringing such distinction to our program. Before we get to the announcement of today's awards, I'd like to take a few moments to introduce several friends and benefactors of our department who have been very generous in their support of various scholarships and awards that so ease the burdens of our graduate students. As I call their names, I'll invite each guest to raise a hand so that we can recognize them. First, to my left here at the front of the room is Ann Lynch, the widow of our late colleague Joseph H. Lynch, namesake of the Lynch Award. Ann, it's always great to see you. And seated next to Ann are Clarence and Jane Cunningham. Clarence was the executor of the Genevieve Brown Gist Scholarship Fund. Thank you for being here this afternoon. And just in front of me are Mary and David Conant. They are the mother and stepfather of the late Lieutenant Colonel Sean M. Judge, Ph.D., the namesake of the Judge Scholarship. Mary and David, welcome. I also wish to take a minute to acknowledge the legacy of John Kaufman, B.A. in History, class of 1960. About 8 years ago, John established the Kaufman Family Graduate Fellowship in American History. We have used the proceeds of his generous gift, which has now been endowed, to support the summer research of many graduate students over recent years. And today we will announce the latest 2 Kaufman Family Award winners. John was a great friend of the department who always took an interest in the achievements of our students at the graduate and undergraduate levels, and who never forgot the foundation for life that he learned here as a young man so many years ago. Sadly, this year in November, John passed away after a long illness. I ask you to help me honor his memory this afternoon by joining in a moment of silence in honor of John Kaufman, class of 1960. Thank you. I also wish to acknowledge 4 of our colleagues who have been selected by the Bradley Foundation this year as administrators of grants for graduate students. The foundation has yet again contributed $100,000 for distribution to students in military history, broadly defined. Those awards are going to be announced eventually this afternoon. Right now, I'd ask you to join me in recognizing the 4 colleagues who have attracted Bradley Foundation support, and they are Joe Gilmartin, Pete Mansour, Jeffrey Parker, and Jennifer Siegel. Thank you and congratulations. We've all deeply benefited from the excellent leadership of the graduate program provided by Professor Jane Hathaway, our Director of Graduate Studies. Jane is ably assisted by Mr. Jim Bach, and it is certainly appropriate for us to pause and recognize the 2 of them with a round of applause. Jane. Chaired by Associate Professor of History Stephanie Smith, the Awards and Prizes Committee has worked very hard this year at making important decisions about the various prizes and awards we're extending this afternoon. Yet again, please join me in another round of applause for Stephanie Smith. Thank you. And last but not least, I'd like to thank and acknowledge Christina Ward and Chris Burton, who do a lot of behind-the-scenes work at preparing this reception and preparing the certificates that will be distributed this afternoon, and above all else, making sure that the money gets into the right account for the benefit of the students who are benefiting Chris is going to, she couldn't be here this afternoon. Chris Burton could not join us. She's going to retire on May 31st after 43 years of superb service to Ohio State University. We will have a celebration for her on her last day of work, and everyone will be invited to that. Christina Ward is at the back corner of the room. I hope she has 43 years more to give to her. I do encourage us to join in recognizing Christina and Chris for their hard work behind the scenes. At this time, I'm welcome to call forward Professor Hathaway, who's going to share some brief remarks about the accomplishments of our graduate students, after which Professor Smith will announce the awards. Jane.
Thank you, Peter. You're a lot taller than I am. Yes, I first of all want to recognize Jim Bach yet again, even though he was just recognized for his very necessary assistance this year, my first year as Graduate Studies Chair. So thanks, Jim, for all your support this year. And I'd also like to thank the members of the Graduate Studies Committee for all of their work. It is not a free ride when you're on the Graduate Studies Committee. It is a labor-intensive service assignment. So I'll just name them in alphabetical order. Mark Grimsley, David Hoffman, Clayton Howard, Hassan Jeffries, Robin Judd, Catherine Marino, Chris Reed, Dodie McDowell, ex officio, and his capacity as Graduate Placement Officer, and Danny Anthony, the Graduate Student Advisory Council representative. And I'd just like to give a special word of thanks to Danny, who I think is here, but for all her help with Visitation Day, the day in March when admitted graduate students visit the campus. It was a huge amount of work. She handled all the lodging and dinner arrangements herself with help from other graduate students and other GSAC members. So I think they really deserve a round of applause. I should just mention that the other GSAC members for 2013 and 14, in addition to Danny, are John Brown, Zach Fry, Sam Sutherland, Jessica Wallace, and Lisa Zaborich. So thanks very much to them. Well, if I were to list all the awards in addition to the ones listed on the program that our graduate students have won this year, and I'm talking mainly about national and international awards as well as awards within the university, we would be here all night. So I will just say in very general terms that our graduate students, you guys, have won an astonishing number of awards, of which you should all be very proud, including, but not limited to, Fulbright, Foreign Language and Area Studies, IREX, SSRC, Committee on American Overseas Research Centers, or KORC, Mellon-sponsored research grants of various kinds, many arts and humanities small grants, graduate alumni research awards, Council of Graduate Students Research and Travel grants, etc., etc. In addition to prestigious awards from the governments of your home countries, and some, in the case of certain international students. You have participated in a large number of national and international conferences and study programs. You've published lots of articles in referee publications. Many of you have received jobs, and many of you have, or several of you anyway, have received teaching awards. And I just, in that line, along those lines, I'd like to single out in particular Stephanie Honchel, who's sitting over here, who recently learned that she has been awarded the Clio Award, which is Phi Alpha Theta History Honor Society's award. It is undergraduate nominated. So I think she deserves a round of applause. And also the only other person I'll single out, this again is breaking news. Mark Boonshoft recently learned, who's sitting over to my right, that he won a presidential fellowship, which is the most prestigious fellowship. It's a dissertation writing fellowship, as most of you know, the most prestigious fellowship that the university awards to current graduate students. So. And for the rest of the awards, fortunately, I don't have to list them. That job will be carried out by Stephanie Smith. And I will let Professor Hahn introduce her.
Stephanie, please come forward. I think we're ready to go.
Oh. Thank you, Peter. So the Awards and Prize Committee is delighted to honor the History Department's outstanding graduate students with the following scholarships and awards. We were able to offer these scholarships and awards with the generous support of Friends of the History Department. First is the Adavar Fellowship, Gulshan Taranalu, Mohammed Abdu, Robert Bremer Award, Scott Ward, Letitia Wiggins. Andreas Dorfelin Award, Sarah Halpern. Foster Ray Dulles Award, Wendy Soltz. I believe she's not here. Sidney Fisher Memorial Award, and that's Doa Ostork. Genevieve Brown GIST Dissertation Research Award in Women's History, and that's Gulshan Toronolu. Ruth Higgins Summer Award, Danielle Anthony, one of my students. And Patrick Sharp. Patrick? Sorry, History Faculty Fellowship, Paul Nizadowski. Helen and Harold Kapeloff Research Award, that's Ryan McMahon. Bradley R. Caston Award, John Perry. Kaufman Family Summer Research Award, David Hadley, Hideaki Kami. Joseph Lynch Scholarship, Rebecca Favorito, Frank McGuff. Philip Poirier Award, Rebecca Favorito. Elaine S. and John C. Rule Award, Andrew Scotland. Henry H. Sims Award, Marcus Nevius. Estella Southern Fellowship, Elizabeth Perigo. She is. History Department Summer Research Awards, Danielle Anthony. Aisha Balteju-Alu, is that correct, Bramer?
Multiple, yeah, she was in church.
Okay. Aaron George. Saban Nazari. Marcus Nevius. Paul Nebzadowski. Doga Osturk. John Perry. Andrew Scotland. Margaret Solik. Wendy Solz. Scott Ward. Letitia Wiegans. And Corbin Williamson. And last, we have Retrieving the American Past Summer Awards. The first is Aisha Baltejealu Bramer, who's not here. Reina Escobar King. Jamie Goodall. Sarah Halpern. Delano Lopez. Brenna Miller. Sabal Nasiri. Doga Ostork. Cameron Schreiber. Sarah Sith. And lastly, Adrian Winans. All right, thank you.
I would next like to call forward Professor Joe Gilmartin. Joe is going to represent the Bradley Group and announce the winners of this year's Bradley Fellowships. He is also going to announce the winner of the Lieutenant Colonel Sean M. Judge Ph.D. Award. You might notice in your program it seems like we're out of order, but Sean was an advisee of Joe, and so we thought we would invite Joe to announce that award this afternoon. Joe.
Thank you, Peter. I'm somewhere between Jane and Peter. Lieutenant Colonel Sean M. Judge Award in honor of our departed and sorely missed colleague, Corbin Williamson. And now the Bradley Foundation Fellows, Will Chu, Rebecca Favorito. Is there anything you've missed? Zach Fry. Aaron George. David Hadley. Lauren Henry. Joel Higley. Dan Johnson, Cameron Jones. Frank McGough. Ryan McMahon. John Perry. John Romaneski. Andrew Scalbalon. Dan Troy. And last but not least, Corbin Williamson.
Thank you, Joe, and thank you, Stephanie and Jane. Well, as each academic year ends with an event called commencement, we are reminded of the rhythms of academic life, and on that note, I extend sincere best wishes to the newly minted PhDs and MAs listed in the program, especially those who will be emerging in the weeks ahead into the next stages of their careers. Each spring, it's been my custom at this event to announce the retirements and departures of colleagues, faculty colleagues, who would be leaving us at the conclusion of the academic year. Last spring, we said goodbye to 8 faculty. This spring, I'm pleased to announce that no one is leaving.